Check, check, check. Okay. So I just finished Resident Evil 0 as well as Resident Evil 1, and I figured before I jump into the next game, maybe I'll do a little tier list on the enemies and kind of give you my thoughts on what each enemy was like, how I thought the bosses were. And right now I just have great, good, mid, and trash is going to be my ranking system for these videos. Because I feel like if I did SA, it just doesn't seem like there's any S tier fights currently, especially in Resident Evil 0. I feel like it's a little weaker of an enemy and boss list altogether. Like the first one we have, there's the Bat. The Bat, I feel like in these older Resident Evil games where you're locked in and you constantly have to be like aiming and the game is auto aiming for you, enemies that fly around are such a fucking problem. So I'm gonna put the Bat in trash because that entire Bat, I'm gonna move the giant Bat up as well in trash, but we'll get there. The Centurion fight, I thought the Centurion fight was actually pretty great. My only issue with the Centurion fight is when you're in there, I didn't know who was going to fight the Centurion. I thought it was going to be both of us. And I sent Rebecca down there with all of the gear. And of course, can I get this pop-up gone? Stop seeing this ad. When I was fighting the Centurion, I sent Rebecca down there assuming, because it's been so long since I've played this game, so I sent Rebecca down there thinking that she would be the one facing him and Billy would just be holding the chain to let her get the key that's down there. But of course, I gave Rebecca all of my heals, all of the good weapons, and Billy was the one that had to fight the Centurion. And I think I only had 15 or so bullets in my handgun, so I had to run while Rebecca is getting grabbed by the Centurion and dying. I'm running all the way back to the main hall to get the hunting shotgun or the hunting rifle to run back, and hopefully I had enough ammo to take this thing down. And luckily I did, but I wish the game would kind of tell you when there's certain enemies. I don't know. There's certain instances in Resident Evil 0 where they don't really give you an indication of what character is better suited for different parts in the game. Like there's certain moments where you have to send one character up, one character down, one character has to leave, and you don't really know unless you've previously played the game, which I have, but it was just still such a pain in the ass to figure out who's best suited for this scenario, what tools do they need. So of course I made the wrong call. I mean, I still think it's a great fight, but I wish I would have known, hindsight, what character would have been fighting the Centurion. The Cerberus, I really think that the Cerberus, I hate these dogs in every Resident Evil game. I mean, the later games are a little better because you can aim a little bit better. So the original 2 remakes, I feel like I can't put them in trash because that's just my personal opinion, but I'm going to put them in mid. I just think the dogs in these games are a pain in the ass. They constantly just grab you and stun lock you, and they're constantly running around, and they're so hard to target that it's easier just to run around them. All right, then we have the Crow, another flying enemy. They're not as bad as the Bats because of that one single fight, but I'm still going to put them in trash because flying enemies like this in the older Resident Evil games, the lock-on is not the best. It doesn't really indicate which one you're targeting or targeting the one that's near you. It just kind of, I feel like it just targets randomly, and then if you manually try to target them, half the time you're missing because you don't know what you're aiming at with the fixed camera perspective. It's just a pain in the ass. Then we have the Eliminators, little like chimpanzee zombies. I feel like they're kind of like hunters, but they're a little more spastic, so I put them at good. I mean, if there's 3 of them in that one small dungeon area, they definitely can beat the shit out of you, which happened to me. There was a point where I had to run all the way back to get one of the little vials of chemicals for the later part in the game. And I remember I got just completely destroyed by 2 of these guys, and it just killed my whole run. I had to restart. It was such a pain in the ass. All right, then we got the giant bat, which so far in my current playthroughs, this is the most dog shit boss. I don't understand what they thought they were doing. This fight is such a pain in the ass. You seriously, you can't hit this guy. Like, unless you stun lock him perfectly with the incendiary grenades, you're constantly getting just completely destroyed by this bat and his little minions. His ads that just keep spawning in as you're trying to survive. It's such a pain in the ass part. Such a pain in the ass part. The giant spider, he was good. I mean, I feel like for the most part, the spiders are avoidable, as well as the hunters. I mean, these guys are just, they're big, they're scary looking. If you have arachnophobia, you're going to be scared. But for the most part, you could just run right by these guys. Same with the hunters. I mean, they're iconic, but they're not as terrifying if you know how to deal with them. I mean, there was one part where I ran into a room and I was trying to throw a Molotov cocktail at them, and they just kept stun locking me, which was a pain in the ass. But for the most part, you can really avoid them if you kind of bait them into doing like a jumping swipe. You can just bait them into that and just get right around them, which is really nice. Oh, the leeches. I mean, the leeches they're mid, they're whatever. They're not really a threat. I feel if they do grab you, they do minimal damage. The lurker, I feel like I ran into one lurker in the entire game. That walkway near the laboratory end of the game where you go across and the lurker jumps out of the water and he licks at you. I mean, that's the only one I remember running into. He was a pain in the ass for that 5 seconds, but I didn't really run into them. I don't even know how to pronounce this. Mimicry Marcus. I thought they were a pain in the ass to deal with, but anytime you heard that flute music, that little, I mean, that was such a terrifying moment because these guys are tanks. They could beat the shit out of you so fast. I mean, there were moments where you hear the music and you're trying to get around them. I died multiple times to these guys. There was one with Rebecca where I'm shooting him with shotguns, Molotovs, grenades, and he's just eating those shots. Just boom, boom, and just one-shotted me, which was a pain in the ass. The little big cockroaches, the plague crawlers, they're more of a mid-tier enemy. I mean, they're very easy to handle, especially when you figure out that you can kind of like, you can run around them and kite them, and they're going to spend so much of their time turning around on you that it makes fighting them an absolute joke. If you had a pistol with enough ammo, you can easily handle 1 to 2 of these guys. They can be a little fast, but it's not that much to deal with. Oh, the Proto Tyrant, I felt like he was good, but he was a little bit easy. I mean, when I fought him as Rebecca, I felt like all I had to do was run around him. Like, he's coming towards you. I ran around him, shot him in the back, and he like keeled over and was in pain, and then kind of just did that until he died. Just run in a circle, shoot him, he'll keel over. He'll try to do a lunge at you, but it's kind of easy to dodge. I didn't really think he was anything special. I know what they were going for, trying to do the Tyrant again in this game, but it didn't have the same effect. So I thought that was a whatever fight. It was good enough, like seeing the Tyrant come back, which was interesting, but it wasn't anything too hard to deal with. The Queen Leech in the second form, I thought this was a great fight. Because not only are you fighting the Queen Leech, Rebecca is also running around the battlefield and she's hitting those little pulleys that she has to turn to bring the sun out. I thought that was a really good mechanic. A little bit of a pain in the ass because he's so big and the camera was fighting against you. But he's kind of working with Billy back and forth. You're trying to kite him in certain places so Rebecca can stay safe. I thought that was a cool mechanic. The Queen Leech, this was a good enough fight. I feel like at the end of the game, I was so not over leveled, but I was ready for that fight. I had the Magnum that I didn't use at any point with 20 shots. And as soon as I got into that fight, I had plenty of heals. It was one of the rare boss fights where you actually were kitted up to handle him, or to handle her, the queen. That fight wasn't too bad at all. Just a couple Magnum shots, 10 to 12, and that fight was over. The Stinger fight, I'm hovering between great to good. Like, I thought, I'm going to put it in good, because it doesn't really make sense why the hell there's a giant scorpion on a train at the beginning of the game, and you're fighting him as... See, I don't remember if I could have fought him as Rebecca or Billy, but I was Billy, and I had the one hunting shotgun. You know what? I don't know. That fight was kind of mid, actually. That fight was kind of mid, because you're in there. The camera, when you walk a little further, the camera's facing the scorpion, and every time you hit him, he'll go backwards and go backwards. But if he hits you one time, he's going to send Billy flying 10 feet towards the wall. And that's unavoidable. It was such a pain in the ass. Like, I didn't think there was any way to avoid that. And you're shooting him, he's backing up, and then he just goes like this. And then he sends Billy 40 feet back that way. And Billy's like laying on the ground, slow to get up, because he's got whiplash and a concussion. And then we have the basic zombie. Basic classic zombie is always good. I mean, they're easy to deal with in these games. For the most part, you can kite around them, and you can bait them in attacking you, similar to Resident Evil 1 remake. But they're always good to see. I mean, they make a room a little more tense, especially when you hear the shuffling, and you hear their little footsteps coming towards you, and you don't know how many there are. 1 to 2 to 3 is easy to deal with, but if you get overwhelmed in the slightest, they could really punish you, which I do like. It's a classic Resident Evil enemy. So that is the tier list for the enemies and bosses of Resident Evil 0. I'll do Resident Evil 1 next, and then I'll also be doing Resident Evil 2 remake.